Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Elivaras, and welcome back to another episode of Strategical Analysis, where we take an in-depth look into army composition, troop movements, and tactics firsthand in a 1v1 multiplayer battle. In this episode, we see myself playing the forces of Bretonnia versus a fellow member of the Discord, Activillain, heading up the forces of the Empire. Now, I was going to have a few Wood Elf battles to show you guys since I love playing the Wood Elves, but unfortunately there is a multiplayer bug currently where Weight Watchers are marked with degrading. So in the replays, they're marked with degrading, not in the actual battles. So when you go back and watch the replays, your Weight Watchers end up dying out and it screws over the whole replay, which is really annoying. So I may be able to salvage one of the replays where it doesn't have too much of an effect, but for the most part, unfortunately, that will not be the case. So we'll have to wait until they manage to fix that bug. But in the meantime, I got back from a hiatus due to school, and my friend also got back from a hiatus. So we're both not super good at this point. We made quite a bit of mistakes on both sides. You'll notice a few especially large ones from me that I will cover in detail to help you guys all not get these same mistakes. And so let's hop into army compositions first thing. So I'm playing Bretonnia here. I haven't played Bretonnia much, but I've got 4 units of men-at-arms with shields. I was expecting they'd probably have some gunners or crossbowmen, so this ended up being a good choice as they do have gunners and crossbowmen. So they're going to be able to hold the front line a little bit, not get torn down by those missiles. We have 2 units of battle pilgrims and the Holy Wardens of La Maison in the middle here, which they've basically exchanged their battle pilgrims who have exchanged their shields for a magical hammer and exchanged their normal swords for flaming swords. So they have magical and flaming attacks, and they're also just normally better than the normal battle pilgrims. 2 units of peasant bowmen in the back for some archery support, and we have 2 units of foot squires and the beast slayers of Bastogne, looking pretty cool here with the ringlets on their helms and the nice colorful armor. These are going to be my anti-large. And over here in the middle, we have my Grail Relique, along with a Paladin, hoping to buff up the front line. And then on my right side, I've got Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, I've got Knights of the Lion-Hearted, and I've got Wardens of Montfort. So really here, I'm just trying to test out a lot of the new cool regiments of renown for Bretonnia. So I've got my anti-infantry, my anti-large, and I've got the poison dealers that'll hope to slow down the enemy and weaken them before the troops engage. And I've got, of course, the Fae here with just Earthblood. Now we move over to Activillain's side. We have 2 units of halberdiers on the flanks, 3 units of swordsmen in the middle. We have 2 units of crossbowmen, 2 units of handgunners, 2 units of spearmen with shields at the back for anti-large. He's got 1 unit of demigryph knights with halberds. And over here, he's got a light wizard, 2 empire captains, and Boris Todbringer. Now, one of the things here that I completely forget about is that when you're playing your empire, you have to be very careful about light wizards, right? The net of Ammontok, especially when overcasted, will basically nullify anything you can do for 20 seconds, a little bit above that. It's absolutely insane, and I completely forgot about that. And you'll see me get caught multiple times due to this. So you can see my troops I'm just kind of juking out with my horses, trying not to get too close. I was hoping to do a little bit of damage to the Empire captains, but ended up not doing much there, unfortunately. And maybe we'll adjust the sound a little bit here. And now you can see I'm moving my men-at-arms forward, trying to get my melee line into position. At the same time, my cav strikes, because one of the big things that you want to do in battles is you don't want to have your cav come in from the back and then they can focus everything on the cav because your infantry isn't in place. You want to strike from multiple positions at multiple times. You don't want to give them any rest, any respite. Can't allow them to use all of their micro and micro down your one unit. You want to pour in from multiple sides so that their micro will be varied and they'll have to make decisions quickly without thinking them through. So you want to definitely try and attack at the same time and not attack spread out. So I need to get my cavalry in gear quickly. So now we can see indeed my front line is getting peppered by arrows and such, but thankfully it's not causing too much havoc as my troops do have shields. Now they do charge in 2 Empire captains and Boris Todbringer straight into my line of men-at-arms who are starting to get torn apart here. I'm charging in the Holy Wardens of La Maison, but you'll see here that my micro kind of breaks down a bit shortly, and I'll have a few problems getting everything back into gear. We can see now I'm moving my cav forward. I was hoping to try and cut them off, and unfortunately I was unable. But now here's the big thing. They get the net down, and you see the demigriffs charge in, so I'm like, oh, okay, we need to get the knights over to the demigriffs. But nope, I screw up, and they end up getting caught too. Faye gets caught. I was hoping to screen the charge with these guys, and they got caught too. So everyone gets netted. My troops are getting torn apart. Thankfully, we do have the Earthblood to try and keep them alive. But they're getting torn apart by the demigriffs right now. And then spearmen come charging in, Empire captains. And at this point, I just need to go in full retreat and pull the heck out of there. You can see my front line, as I'm trying to micro all my cav, my front line is in complete disarray, and it's not looking that good for me. I finally have peasant bowmen opening up on the enemy crossbowmen, but their troops are tearing into mine, and thankfully I'm finally getting things back under control. But my cavalry's taken so much damage in the process. I tried to turn around and pin the Empire captain, unfortunately manages to fly away. You can see peasant bowmen doing quite a good job to these crossbowmen over here. Boris Todbringer pouring right into the men-at-arms with shields, not pouring, flying into the men-at-arms with shields, and you're going to see a Comet of Cassandora, or whatever the equivalent is, for the fake, hammering down here, absolutely destroying this unit of halberdiers, taken almost from full health. Very nice Comet there, as he is quite clumped up, which is a mistake for him. Another net goes down, and all my cav gets caught, and I try and get the Fae in. She does manage to actually move into the enemy spearmen, and I do cast another Earthblood. Now, in this case, Earthblood is damage mitigation, right? You see the enemy charging in, you're caught, can't do anything else. Cast Earthblood, make sure models do not drop. Keep that health regen going. We can see I've got men-at-arms with shields retreating. Peasant bowmen taking quite a bit of damage here. You see did I miss the foot squires I had? I think I did. But I do have 2 units of foot squires, and I'm charging them in to get rid of these spearmen. And I also have my beast slayers, which I'm trying to pull in on top of Boris here. You can see my cav is in pretty huge disarray, and at this point I'm like, alright, let's just get rid of the demigriffs. So my cav is going to charge in here, but they get a little caught. Their charge wasn't that effective, and the Fae starts taking a lot of damage. Thankfully, the demigriffs actually start taking quite a bit as well. See the Mist of the Lady taking down a little bit of their health, but the Fae is also taking a lot of damage in the process. Front line is holding decently well. I have the Grail Relic standing back here, just providing some nice encourage, and whatever else it provides. I don't remember. Hold on. See what else does the Grail Relic provide. Blessing of the Lady, plus 20, oh yes, plus 20% physical resistance, and an aura around it. It also, I think it does, is it an aura around it? Yeah, Icon of Devotion, plus 12 leadership, and immune to psychology, which is very, very useful. Immune to psychology is especially going to be huge come the late game if it manages to survive, because Boris, obviously when he charges in on his Griffin here, he's going to cause fear and terror, and I don't want that eroding my low leadership troops. We can see now foot squires charging in, trying to engage these Empire captains and back up my beast slayers of Bastogne, who are finally on the targets they want to be on, although a lot of them are being distracted by the halberdiers, unfortunately. We can see my cav is still going to town, trying to fight these demigriffs, and troops are taking a lot of damage. The Fae is getting such very, very low on health. I need to get the Fae out of there, and I'll start doing that shortly once I realize. But she's been taking the brunt of the demigriff pressure here, and she's going to get whittled down very low, and you can see my commands to move her out now. I'm going to try and cast an Earthblood, and I managed to replenish all of my troops here, replenish the foot squires who are getting fired in, so hopefully they won't get drop models. We can see a big engagement here in the middle. I've got my Paladin and the Holy Wardens of La Maison-Tal, along with my Grail Relic. We can see now I'm diverting 1 unit of men-at-arms to see if I can get a little bit of a wraparound here. Another net comes down. This one's going to be a huge extended duration. Thankfully, though, their demigriffs are on their way out, and it's only this 1 unit of handgunners that's going to be giving me trouble. And I believe I'm going to cast another Earthblood shortly so that they don't do too much damage, but thankfully all their forces here are in retreat, and they aren't able to capitalize on this too much. And it is an extended cast, going to use a ton of the Winds of Magic. So you can see they're unable to capitalize, even though they wasted so much Winds of Magic here. We can see Light Wizard just flying around here. See, I'm trying to get my troops back in, but he's doing a good job flying Boris and the Empire captains around, scaring my troops away. Here in the center, though, we're actually doing quite well, as we have the Paladin and the Grail Relic again, providing those leadership buffs, making sure my troops don't retreat. And here we have Empire troops in disarray. Empire captains starting to take quite a bit of damage, and now I'm pulling my cav around. Trying to get my cav into these crossbowmen here, also into these handgunners as they retreat. Want to just take out the rest of their missiles here. That's going to be the biggest problem. And here, come down for another Comet from the Fae. Let's watch as it comes down and see how much damage it manages to do to these crossbowmen. Boom, comes right down, basically flattens the rest of the unit, and that's going to do quite a bit of damage, and they are definitely on their way out now. You can see the Fae, only 10 kills, unfortunately. A lot of it's just damage rather than kills. And another net comes down, and this is going to be the end of the Fae, as Boris, both Empire Captains, latch onto her. She is going to be biting the dust, which is very, very bad for my Bretonnian core here. As you know, Bretonnians are not known for their high leadership, and especially with the Fae dying, that's going to provide or lead to a lot of issues. The Fae goes down, and my troops' leadership is not going to be super high. Thankfully, though, what might save the day here is the Grail Relique and the Paladin that are still providing those encourage and plush leadership auras. And now at this point, he's mostly got just flying units left. He's got some troops, but a lot of them have been broken. I've mainly broken his infantry corps, but a lot of my troops are still here, even though I've lost my leadership. So at this point now, I'm going to be trying to pull all my troops together. Going to try and group up, get all of my forces back here, and now run off some of these halberdiers. I know these halberdiers could be a pain for my cavalry if they manage to get back in, so I'm going to try and run them down here, run them off the field. You can see now I'm pulling all my troops in one position here. Thankfully, we have 2 high health foot squires. We got the beast slayers of Bastogne, which are going to be very useful here, taking down their flying units. And he's also going to be doing the same. He's going to be running off my peasant bowmen. Oh, here we go. Back to the odds. See halberdiers getting run off here, taking quite a bit of damage. And now you can see most of my troops have gathered up here. And I'm going to start moving towards, while their flying units are all the way back here, I'm going to try and start moving towards the rest of his infantry, see if I can weaken those down, and that would force him to land. Fortunately, my troops are a lot slower than his, and he's going to he's going to notice quite soon, and he's going to start pulling his troops back. We can see his demigryphs actually have returned. There's still 6 of them. They're at extremely low health, and they're wavering, but they still are there. And unfortunately, his handgunners actually still have quite a bit of ammo left. A little bit of a mistake on his part, not guarding his handgunners well enough that they have this much ammo this late into the battle. You can see I also had a bit of mistakes with my peasant bowmen, as they have quite a bit of ammo. But they're still going to do him well this late. Unfortunately, he is actually firing into my shielded units, which is not where he wants to be firing. That's going to mitigate a lot of the damage that's coming in. Instead, he should be firing at the Holy Wardens of La Maisontal, because they don't have any shields, and they're going to take a lot more damage, and they're way more of a threat than these normal battle pilgrims. See, moving my infantry corps in, and now he brings all of his flying units back. And surprisingly enough, he still has another net. I think that's 5 nets or something, even with an extended cast. Tons of nets. And now he's probably going to try and target the Grail Relique. Boost the brightness a little bit here as things for some reason get darker, but he doesn't actually here. I think this is a huge mistake on his part. Although he does target my cav, he does collapse on top of my defenders of the fleur-de-lis, but somehow the Knights of the Lion-Hearted have made it through the gap, and they're going to be trying to charge right into the flank of these handgunners, and they're going to take a bit of a hit here, forcing them to stop firing, to pull out and retreat. They managed to break through. Unfortunately, my defenders of the fleur-de-lis are going to be on their way out as the demigryphs chase them off. You can see Boris coming back to help here, and now I'm trying to pull all of my forces in. Now we can see he starts to target my Grail Relique. Actually, no, he's targeting my Paladin, I think, at the moment. And at this point, I'm like, alright, everyone just take care of those stupid demigryphs. Just get him off the field. I'm tired of him. Unfortunately, he does manage to rout the rest of my cavalry, and my last 2 Knights of the Lion-Hearted are running from the map. Now here, he doesn't have actually a Boris, so he's not doing too much damage. He has his 2 Paladins, but he's not his 2 Paladins, his 2 Empire Captains. But now my Paladin is going to be going to town on his Empire Captains over here. So I have my Paladin focus on this Empire Captain, and they're stuck, so they're hard-pressed to retreat at the moment, and my Paladin's right now tearing through. And we can see he's reduced to extremely low health, and he's going to have to try and pull him out. But no, the Empire Captain falls, Paladin fells one of them, and now the Empire Captain's going to try and focus on Boris. You know, Boris is fighting the Paladin is going to be focusing on Boris. Keep mixing up Empire Captain and Paladin. And we can see here I also have my dead Grail Knight here, the Grail Relique, which is still alive, and this is a huge part of what's keeping my troops in the fight. Right? I see a lot of them are wavering. You know, they don't exactly, men-at-arms don't have high leadership. Foot Squire's not doing super well for leadership either. But the Grail Relique and the Paladin providing that encourage aura, getting so much leadership around them, and providing that immune to psychology, which means when Boris charges in, they won't be frightened by that, which is really useful. It's really my Paladin and my Grail Relic that's keeping the forces in the fight. And we can see Boris is going to try and leap down onto the Grail Relic. And as he does that, I can't run off and leave it here. I'm going to have to pull all my troops back in onto Boris, make sure they can't take out my Grail Relic. He flattens some of my foot squires here. Not many of them die in that stroke. Actually, a few of them did die in that stroke. I'm pulling my Grail Relic to safety a little bit here. And we're trying to take down his last Empire Captain, which is so close to that. We just have to keep it from taking off here. But unfortunately, it looks like it's going to manage to take off. I don't have enough troops to prevent it. See, the flying units need a nice straight runway to take off. And if units are in the way or blocking them, they don't have that runway, so it'll take longer for them to take off. Getting my troops back together, but unfortunately my Grail Relic has been a little bit stranded in the back here. And we can see somehow they have room for another net, so my troops can't get in to reinforce. Only one unit of foot squires. I'm going to pull the Grail Relic in, but he's going to get caught by the net here. But thankfully, now that Boris is in range, my troops are able to pull over just a little bit. Unfortunately, I can't get my Paladin in, which is who is the one I need to be taking down Boris. We can see definitely the battle is not in my favor at this point. High health Light Wizard, high health Boris, and my troops aren't doing so well. So I'm going to have to try and pull after him. But now at this point, he can just continuously cycle charge. He's got Boris, he's got his 2 guys, and he has ground troops remaining. So I can't force him to land. He can just continually cycle charge here, and this is going to be bad news for my troops. We can see another men-at-arms unit flees from the field, and at this point, it's my 2 low-health foot squires, my low-health beast slayers of Bastogne. Thankfully, my Paladin still has quite a bit of health, though. He's going to be keeping me in the fight here. We can see all 3 units here charge out onto my Grail Relic. Thankfully, it doesn't take too much damage, and I'm going to charge for it. I was going after the Empire Captain, but he manages to bring it away to safety here. And now Boris is charging after my Paladin. And we're going to have to see if we can manage to pull this back. Really not in my favor at this point. But now the Paladin's going to start duking it out with Boris here, if we can get a nice close-up shot without the Griffin wings blocking everything. See the Paladin now trying to get in. Going to do a few hits. Boris is actually taking a huge amount of damage really, really quickly. Means he's taking multiple hits, 400 damage at a time. As he doesn't have the best melee defense, only 35. We can see he's getting chunked quite heavily, and he's actually starting to waver here. We're starting to pull it back a little bit, but still not completely in my favor at this point. He's still got a few ground troops left, but thankfully they have ran out of ammo. And now we're going in for the last epic clash as the troops charge forward. We can see his air corps moving forward. Who is going to come out the victor on this battlefield? See, my Paladin's kind of confused about where he's going, so he's actually going to ditch the charge. But the rest of these troops are going to charge into each other. Beast Slayers of Bastogne, letting their spears and pikes lead the charge here as the 2 lines charge into each other. And we can see my Grail Relic so close to dead, and all of the Air Corps forces charge right down, and we can see his Empire Captain down here at low health right next to the Paladin. Paladin's going to try and leap on top of him and manages to down him. Actually, yeah, now there he goes. We can see falling from his steed. The Paladin kills the Empire Captain, but now it's not back in my favor. But now it's swinging a little bit here as the Paladin hops onto Boris and does quite a bit of damage. Boris is starting to waver, starting to flee. Boris is now in retreat. Now it's just down to the Light Wizard, who is not known for his very high damage or melee attack. And we do have the Beast Slayers of Bastogne, but my troops are in full retreat here. Foot Squires on their way out. It's just down to the remnants of the Beast Slayers of Bastogne, the Grail Relic, and the Paladin. But now the Light Wizard is starting to rout. It's tilting in my favor now. Boris has come back from routing, but at such low health, he probably won't be able to do much. Victory is in our grasp. The Paladin trying to chase down the Light Wizard, but it is not to be. And now, we see Boris charging back in, chunks my Paladin a little bit there, but I don't think it's going to be enough as the Beast Slayers are on top of him. And he is going to run from the field, and that is going to end it. Whew! Quite the battle here. Extremely close, extremely down to the wire. You can see all of my troops at very low health, just down to the Beast Slayers of Bastogne, my Grail Relic, and the Paladin there at the end. Where is the Paladin? There he is. 41 kills. We can see there Boris Todbringer doing quite a bit of work there. Handgunners getting, that unit getting quite a bit done. So yeah, a lot of mistakes by me. I completely forgot about the net, and I got nastily surprised by it. And that ended up chunking down a lot of my troops. Thankfully, I was able to do some damage mitigation and heal up a lot of that damage. But unfortunately, he was very prepared with those demigryphs. He was able to charge right in and capitalize on the net. So yeah, unfortunately, the hero spam was getting to me a bit there. He had a lot of flying units, but thankfully, I was able to weaken them down. My Paladin definitely... Now, the Paladin and the Grail Relique carrying the day there. Grail Relique is so strong and so powerful for Bretonnia. You know, as long as it's alive, giving that plus 12 leadership along with the immune to psychology so that Boris's Terror couldn't get in there. And definitely my Paladin. If I didn't have my Paladin, it would have been game over. It would have had nothing to kill the... Nothing to kill the Empire captains or Boris. He chunked them down so hard, and he was one of the key components of our victory. Really, it was the Paladin, the Grail Relique that led us to victory. So don't underestimate them. And I would suggest bringing them if you are playing Bretonnia, buffing up your ground force with the Paladin, and leaving you with a backup in case the Fae dies. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Oh, man. Don't know why I'm yawning all of a sudden now, but... I hope you all enjoyed. I am currently working on an update to the Wood Elves guide, or how to beat the Wood Elves on very hard. So stay tuned for that. I'm still piecing that together, doing a bit of work and practicing, seeing what works and what doesn't, and collecting opinions from some of my friends. So I would like to thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers, guys.